I don't want to tell you, but here's the scoop. 10 years ago, they had started doing research, and they found if you had carotene or vitamin A in your bloodstream, you had less cancer. So the Veterans Administration, they go, you know, we have all these smokers, they're all getting lung cancer. And the research shows that people eat a lot of carrots. If they have carotene or vitamin A in their bloodstream, they have less cancer. Let's take 17,000 veterans. Half of them get vitamin A or vitamin E, and the other half gets a placebo, sugar pill. They did that study at the end of, 8 or 9 years. You know what they found? The vitamin A didn't help at all. And in fact, the people who took the vitamin A had a greater number of hip fractures. All right, just a second. B vitamins. B vitamins are good. B12, isn't that good? Shots of B12. B vitamins like B12, folate, thiamine, pyridoxine, B6 are known to be in your bloodstream, and if they're high levels, people with high levels of those vitamins have less cancer and heart attack and stroke. Right? Good. So, in Norway, they supplemented their foods with those vitamins, and people who got the supplement had an increased risk of breast cancer. Okay? All right? A couple weeks ago, they just concluded a study. B12, folate, and things like that lower a chemical in your bloodstream called homocysteine. Homocysteine causes hardening of the arteries and is affected with stroke and heart attack and death. And B12 and folate and B6 decrease that. So they took diabetics who have a rapidly progressive hardening of the arteries, measured their kidney function, and half of them got high doses of B12, folate, B6, and they just published the results. And what did they show? The diabetics that got the high dose B vitamins had worsening kidney function, worse than those who got the sugar pill. Okay, so let's see if we got this again. I could give you 100 other studies. Look at this month's Consumer Reports, last month's Reader's Digest. I've done videos on this. I'll give you more research on it. I've sent a bunch of things to Facebook on this, quoting all these research projects. Lots of research show that vitamins are good for us. Vitamins in our bloodstream is good for us. More vitamins in our bloodstream, we have a better life. Too low vitamins in our bloodstream, we have complications. So therefore, it makes sense we should take pills that have vitamins. But dozens of research projects where they've given controlled, randomized trials where they've given supplemental vitamins either hasn't made any difference, or now research is suggesting that high-dose B vitamins or high-dose vitamin A as a tablet, as a supplement, may actually be worse. How can that be? How can it be in your bloodstream or in your food and be helpful, but as a tablet be not helpful or actually harmful? Because food is good and a tablet ain't the same thing. We as Americans want to be able to drive to work while we're drinking our breakfast, shaving, and answering email. And so I want to have a Twinkie in the glove compartment, a soda pop, and I'll take a vitamin for good health. The vitamins themselves may not be the reason that those other people with high vitamins in their bloodstream are doing well. It may be because they ate a healthy diet. So what we're telling our patients now is it may be okay to take a little bit of a vitamin, but very high doses may actually be harmful, and we don't recommend it.
Up to D3.
That's a really good question. So,
what was the question?
What about vitamin D? Okay. Lots of research says that lately, a huge number of Americans are vitamin D deficient. Okay? We've gone indoors. We have a job indoors like mine. I work in a windowless room all day. We're hearing from the dermatologist, stay out of the sun. Ooh, look out for sun. Going to cause skin cancer, we're covering up, we have a hat on, we don't go out. Okay, the studies of vitamin D are just coming in, and basically vitamin D tests used to cost $1,000, maybe $10,000 to measure vitamin D. Now it costs pennies. So we now know everybody's vitamin D level, and a huge percentage of Americans have vitamin D deficiency. If you have a low vitamin D, you're more likely to have cancer, heart attack, stroke, death, weak bones, bone fracture, osteoporosis. So, Australian doctors said, gee whiz, sometimes when we give vitamin D tablets to people, we've had mixed results in those studies. Some good, some not so good. So why don't we just give every patient at the beginning of this study 1 million units of vitamin D? One dose. Slam it in there. So they did that. Several thousand women were split up half and half, followed for 3 years, and they gave them one tablet of 600,000 units of vitamin D. Okay, at the end of 1 year, at the end of 2 years, at the end of 3 years, what did they find? Well, their vitamin D levels went up. And the women who got the vitamin D had more falls and more hip fractures. I don't want to tell you that. So what does it mean? Well, that's not the end of it. We're still looking into it. There's still dozens of studies, but it goes along with the other studies to suggest that tablets may not equal a good, healthy day out in the sun. So, the bottom line, all this complex research, what am I going to tell you? Eat a healthy diet. Duh. I mean, that doesn't sound like a big conclusion, but the conclusion of this research is eat a healthy diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables. And get outdoors, like your mother used to tell you. Go outdoors and play. Okay? Now, does it mean you should go out on Saturday and spend 8 hours in 120 degree sun naked until you burn your skin off? No. What they're recommending, so you don't get cancer, is at a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes every day with as much of you exposed to the sun as you can, within the limits of good taste. This is Vegas, but still, calm down.
Even makeup has sunblock in it.
Right, and so it may not be bad if you're going out in the sun for a full day hiking in the desert. Okay, right. But the more important is the Monday when you're at work and you get home and you haven't been out all day. Mm-hmm. You need that sun maybe because tablets of vitamin D raise concerns. They may not be as good as getting the vitamin D through the sun and being outdoors. So it may be more important, instead of taking, what did you say, how many vitamins? Lots of vitamins? A plethora, right. Instead of taking a plethora, I've got a plethora on me right now. Instead of taking a plethora of vitamins, you may want to buy a dog.
Yeah.
And just take the dog for a walk. That may be more valuable to you than spending a bunch of money on wackadoodle vitamins. Now, I don't want to say that. I can tell you, honestly, I did not want to read this. I don't like this research. But when you think about it, it may make some common sense, which is a healthy diet with vitamin A in it, a carrot, is more helpful in protecting you from cancer than a tablet of vitamin A plus a Twinkie or plus a milkshake. A broccoli spear filled with vitamins and the other features that are in there may be more valuable than a one-a-day vitamin. And these research projects now have been done, not once or twice, but dozens and dozens of research, and they keep showing us the same annoying finding. This is very bothersome to us. We don't want to hear that we should be out Saturday morning at the farmer's market finding fresh vegetables. I want to get busy, I got work to do, I got email to answer, give me a multivitamin tablet and a hamburger. And the answer may be that tablet could actually make you worse. That's the thing that's wild.
4.5 years ago, when I was doing all of my research and going to all your seminars, one vitamin 3 times a day with 18 milligrams of iron was what I was told. Summarize all this for me now. What are you now saying?
We now say that that may not be right, which is embarrassing for me to admit on TV. I'll have to edit that part out of this video.
Yeah, right.
And what we're saying now is that you should look at your yearly blood tests of your vitamins. If they're all perfect, then probably what you're doing is okay. But the high doses may not be a good idea.
Well, I'm only taking 2 a day instead of 3.
See, you are smarter than me.
And everything is fine.
Then I would probably stay there. Yeah. But this is hard for me to say, and like you said, in the past, my recommendation, in fact, if you go back 10 years ago, I had recommended vitamin A and vitamin E. But I don't like to bring that up, that I was wrong back then. But it is very hard for me because we have thought, if low vitamins are bad, because we know low vitamins are bad, you know, low iron, low D, low vitamins are bad, low C is scurvy, then we're America. Then lots ought to be great. A plethora should be just what we need. Right? Huh? And so these research projects, this one came out at the VA with vitamin A, and people thought especially about vitamin A. There's something wrong, vitamin A especially. If you look in the grocery store and on vitamin labels, they all went down. They pulled a lot of the vitamin A 100,000 units, and now you can only get it in 10,000 units. So that research affected us, and what we're finding now is the same kind of thing in other vitamin studies. I haven't mentioned it, but they looked at prostate cancer. Men who get prostate cancer have lower levels of selenium and vitamin E and something else in their bloodstream. So just last year, they finished a study where the people who got supplemental tablets of selenium and vitamin E did not do any better. Over and over again, their research studies suggest healthy food with high levels of vitamins in your bloodstream, showing you're eating healthy food, is tremendously good for you. Taking vitamins, not so much.
So basically, it's more or less sounds like it's boiling down to choose natural within your diet and your environment as opposed to synthetic in a tablet. Pretty cut and dry.
Or another way to say it is, it's very much more difficult to go and find a fresh, organic batch of vegetables, to cook them up, or it's much easier to open a can of soup, have that can of soup, and then eat a vitamin to cover you, so to speak, to make it healthy. Right. I don't think that the research supports the vitamins as being cover. What it says instead is still those vitamins are good, but only when they're packaged in a broccoli spear.
Right.
Those vitamins are good, but only when they're in other healthy, fresh foods. And when you say it out loud, I mean, that's kind of common sense. It wouldn't be totally surprising. It's just not what I thought. It's not what a lot of people thought, and it's hard to change. And Neil was kind enough to point out my error. But, so, I personally, you can obviously do what you want, but I would give up the plethora of vitamins. I think